stop. What if I told you that some of the things you think are normal in a relationship are actually slowly destroying you? Not all toxic relationships look toxic. Some feel like love. Some feel like they just care a lot. Some feel like dedication. Some feel like passion. Some feel like it's your fault. And that's exactly why they're so dangerous. Because the worst kind of poison is the kind that tastes sweet. Almost 1 in 3 people will experience a toxic relationship at some point in their life. And the scary part, most of them don't realize it until they're already emotionally drained, until they've already lost pieces of themselves they didn't even know were missing. Because toxicity doesn't start with chaos. It starts small, subtle comments, tiny behaviors, little moments that feel off. And a joke that didn't feel like a joke, a look that made you second guess yourself, a sentence that replayed in your head for days, until one day, you don't feel like yourself anymore, and you can't even explain when it started. So today, I'm not just going to list behaviors, I'm going to show you what they feel like, because knowing the name of something is not the same as recognizing it when it's happening to you. 1. Constant criticism. Imagine this. You're getting ready. You feel good about yourself. Maybe for the first time in a while, you walk into the room and ask, "What do you think?" They look at you, pause, and say, "It's okay, but you've worn better." It's small, not aggressive, not loud, not obvious, but it stays in your head. You look in the mirror again, and now you see something different. Later, it happens again. And about how you talk, how you laugh, how you act around other people, even how you do simple everyday things. Nothing is ever quite right. Nothing ever gets a genuine compliment. And over time, you stop feeling good enough, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, because the standard keeps shifting, and the person who's supposed to make you feel loved is the one making you feel small. 2. Control disguised as care. At first, it sounds like love. Text me when you get home. I just worry about you. I don't like your friends. They're not good for you. I just want to keep you safe. It feels protective. It feels like someone finally cares enough to pay attention. But slowly, they start asking where you are, who you're with, what you're doing, why you didn't respond fast enough. And then it becomes, why didn't you tell me? Who are you texting? Send me a screenshot. Why is your phone on silent? And suddenly, your life doesn't feel like yours anymore. Your choices don't feel like your choices. Every decision you make gets filtered through the question, will they be okay with this? And you don't even realize that the person who said they wanted to protect you is the person you now need protection from. 3. Jealousy that feels like interrogation. You mention a coworker, just casually, a story from your day, nothing important, and their face changes. Who's that? Why are you talking to them? Do they like you? You never mentioned them before. Now you're explaining something that didn't even matter, defending a conversation that meant nothing, proving your innocence for a crime you didn't commit. And after a while, you start filtering what you say, avoiding names, avoiding stories, avoiding details, not because you have something to hide, but because it's just easier than dealing with the reaction. And that right there, that's you shrinking. That's you editing your own life to keep someone else comfortable. 4. The silent treatment. That anxiety, that heaviness in your chest, that pressure building inside you to fix something you don't even understand. You replay the conversation over and over, trying to find the moment where you went wrong. and eventually you break. Hey, I'm sorry. Even though you don't know what you're sorry for, even though you didn't do anything wrong, you apologize just to make the silence stop, because the silence hurts more than the argument ever could. 5. Keeping score. Suddenly, you're not talking about the present anymore. You're defending your past. Every mistake you've ever made gets pulled out of a drawer you didn't even know they were keeping. Everything becomes a scoreboard. And somehow, no matter what they did, you're always losing. You're always the one who has to prove they deserve to be heard. And eventually, you stop bringing things up at all. Because what's the point? It always ends the same way. 6. Gaslighting. Such certainty that a tiny part of you wonders, wait, did I misunderstand? Am I remembering this wrong? Maybe I am making it up. And slowly, you stop trusting your own memory, your own perception, your own mind. And when you can't trust yourself, you start trusting them instead, which is exactly what they wanted. A 7. Your insecurities used against you. Until one day, during an argument, they say exactly that thing back to you. That insecurity, that fear, that wound, used as a weapon, thrown at you in the heat of the moment like it meant nothing. And that's when something breaks. Not the relationship, something inside you. The part of you that trusted them with the most vulnerable piece of who you are. And you realize they didn't hold that moment gently. They stored it and waited for the right time to use it. 8. Guilt trips. And suddenly, going out with a friend feels selfish. Taking time for yourself feels like betrayal. Having your own life feels like you're hurting them. They don't ask you to stay. They make you feel guilty for wanting to leave. And guilt is a cage that doesn't need a lock, because you'll keep yourself in it. 9. Dismissing your feelings. Why are you so sensitive? Here we go again. And just like that, your feelings become an inconvenience, something to be managed, minimized, shut down. So you stop talking, not because you stopped feeling, but because you learned that your feelings don't matter here, at least not as much as theirs. 10. Isolation. But because you stopped reaching out, because every time you made plans, there was a fight. Every time you came home, there was tension, and it was just easier to stay. Until one day, you look around and realize the only person left in your world is the one who made everyone else disappear. 11. Threats of leaving. But because they know what it does to you, it makes you panic. It makes you chase. It makes you apologize faster. It makes you swallow whatever you were feeling. The relationship itself becomes a hostage, and you'll do anything, say anything, become anything, just to keep it alive, even if it's killing you. 12. Conditional love. When you do what they want, they're warm, affectionate, present. When you don't, they withdraw, cold, distant, punishing. And without realizing it, you start performing, doing the things that earn their love, avoiding the things that take it away. Love becomes a reward, not a foundation. And you spend all your energy trying to be the version of yourself that gets to keep it. 13. Comparing you to others. My ex never had a problem with this. Look how happy they are together. Why can't you be more like... Every comparison is a message. You're not enough, not attractive enough, not smart enough, not easygoing enough, not grateful enough. And no matter how hard you try, there's always someone else they wish you were more like. 14. Lying about small things. It's not the big lies that break you. It's the small ones. Where they were, who they talked to, what they said. Things that don't even matter. But they lie anyway, and each small lie chips away at your trust until you realize you can't believe anything they say. Not because of one big betrayal, but because of 100 small ones. 15. Public embarrassment. In private, they're one person. In public, they're another. They make jokes about you in front of friends. They share things you told them in confidence. They correct you. They talk over you. They make you feel small in front of other people. And if you bring it up later, it was just a joke. You're too sensitive. Everyone else laughed. But you didn't laugh, and that should matter. 16. Blaming you for their emotions. They had a bad day, and somehow it's your fault. If you hadn't said that this morning, if you were more supportive, you always make things worse. Their anger becomes your responsibility. Their sadness becomes your failure. Their stress becomes your burden, and you carry all of it. Not because it's yours, but because they put it on you, and you didn't know you were allowed to put it down. A 17 refusing to communicate. You try to talk, they shut down. You ask what's wrong. Nothing. You try again. I said nothing. And you're left sitting there, knowing something is wrong. Feeling it in the air, seeing it in their face, but being told it doesn't exist. So the problem never gets solved. It just builds and builds and builds until one day it explodes, and somehow that explosion is your fault too. 18, making you feel crazy. You're paranoid. You're insecure. You're overthinking. No normal person would react like this. They say it so many times that you start to believe it. Maybe you are too much. Maybe you are the problem. Maybe something is wrong with you. But here's the truth. You're not crazy. You're having a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. And the person calling you crazy is the one making you feel that way. 19. Emotional hot and cold. Monday, they love you. Tuesday, they barely look at you. Wednesday, they're affectionate again. Thursday, you don't exist. No pattern, no reason, no explanation, just chaos. And you become addicted to the good days because the good days feel so good after the bad ones. And that contrast, that's not love. That's a cycle, and it's designed to keep you hooked. 20, you feel drained. This is the one that matters most. Forget the list. Forget the labels. Forget trying to name every behavior. Just ask yourself one question. How do you feel after spending time with this person? Drained, anxious, confused, small, empty? Because that feeling, that exhaustion, that's not you being dramatic. That's your mind and your body telling you something is wrong. And you need to listen. Love is not supposed to feel like pressure, like fear, like walking on eggshells, like constant self-doubt. A healthy relationship feels safe, feels stable, feels like you can breathe, feels like you can be yourself without being punished for it. If you have to shrink yourself, question yourself, lose yourself, perform for someone just to keep their love, that's not love. That's toxicity. And you don't have to stay just because you've already stayed this long. You don't have to keep trying just because you've already given so much. You are allowed to walk away from something that hurts you, even if you love them, even if it's hard, even if it's terrifying. You deserve better, way better.